Shalom, dear friends, and good morning. I hope you can hear us today. I'm very glad to be here with you today. And I would appreciate if you could connect to Discord, if you can speak, if you can write on the chat box. I would like to see if you have a sound coming, if everything is fine. Today I would like to read with you a few pages from Weinreb's book, Roots of the Bible. Counting to 4, Chapter 1. Do you have a signal coming? Can you hear the voice? Those who are listening, can you get a voice coming? I hope you do. So let's start. Counting to 4, Roots of the Bible. The tale of creation in the Bible faces many people with a number of problems. To illustrate our approach to the subject, I selected the first 2 chapters, and I shall, for the present, leave the standards of science and history out of consideration. Let us begin with merely noticing what is says in the book and try to consider in it some sort of systematic order. Such order may well indicate the presence of a leading thought and give it structural support. When reading the tale, we are struck at once by opposites forming a duality. Thus, at the very beginning, there are the 2 extremes of heaven and earth. In each of the next 6 days, in which creation is completed according to the biblical story, we again meet with sets of opposites. The first day, there is that between light and darkness. The second day, the waters under the firmament are divided from the waters above the firmament. The third day, we first see waters as opposed to dry land, and afterwards, on the same day, a division is made in primeval life, plant life, between the herb yielding seed and the tree yielding fruit. So this is for now. Good morning, Fernando. Can you hear us? Do you get a signal, Fernando? Hello? Hello? Do you hear? Do you hear a sound coming? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes. We shall wait for Fernando to join with the microphone as well. Here, Weiner is telling us that to read the biblical story, first we have to put aside the historical perspective and the scientific perspective, the layers that people during the time add to the Bible, and just look at the core structured story. And I hope that soon Fernando could join us when his microphone will work. But please, until Fernando will return to this broadcast, I would like to draw a systematic sketch of what is happening. 1 second. Yes, Fernando, you have it? Here we have. And this is what Weinreb will express in the rest of the book, this structure. In his book, he writes the facts from left to right, but let's say, I'm more accustomed to write the structure of creation according to the structure of the tree of life, or according to the structure of the spheres. So we shall do like this. This is day 1, day 2, day 3. And here we have day 4, day 5, here, day 6, and a bit beneath the 7th day. Yes, Fernando, I see you here on the board. Sunshine is here as well.
Hello, Eti, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Good morning. How do you do?
Okay, I'm fine, Eti. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to listen to you.
Thank
Just entering. And how do you do it?
It is a very good day here. It is beautiful, but it's a bit hot. It's approaching 40 degrees. It is quite hot. There is a heat wave also around Europe, all Europe, and also here. So we try to stay in the shade, drink, and stay calm until the evening comes, or better the night, and then we can take a walk. Because in the time when the sun is high, it's not recommended to leave like a shadows place and to go to the straight sun. So we are hiding at the moment, and it's good. First of all, it's good
Okay,
to be here with you, friends, and to discuss those matters. Yes. And how it is in Brazil? How is the weather?
great, good to hear it. Well, the weather is shifting a lot here, Eti. Yesterday was cold, but today the sun is shining like Rodrigo always speaks, and it seems that till Friday we're gonna have like a good temperature and it is going to be better, you know. So it is a beautiful day around here. It is quite calm with a wind. The wind is very cold, but the sun is shining, so you can get warm from the sun. It is good.
And how may I ask, how was the cyclone visiting? You
Well,
mentioned yes.
yes. Uh, Porto Alegre was kind of safe. We stayed only one day without energy, but it was not so damaged. But around here, some places was really damaged. You know, like we got lucky this time.
And people were
But
like in a safe position. People houses remained in place.
kind of this time wasn't so serious, but some people lost their houses and we had like too much water and came water by. So people are trying to make everything right. Uh,
Well, Lauren Majuba, greetings there to you, Fernando.
Hello, Eniola.
Hello,
Good to
hello.
listen to you.
Thank you, Fernando, for the update. How do you do, Enola? How is the weather
Great.
today?
Hello, hello. Greetings there, Eddie and Fernando and friends. I'm well, and the weather here is hot.
How hot it is, and how hot it is at the moment.
Yes, it's always hot in Trinidad. Sometimes it's hot and wet, but
Mm-hmm.
it's always hot.
Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank you as well.
Would you like to read the text, or Do you see, Niola, do you see the text? Do you see the whiteboard? Do you have access to the text at the
Um, I'm
moment?
looking at I'm looking at the screen on YouTube, so it's very small for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. And Fernando, do you see the text? I mean,
Yes, I
yeah,
can see it.
yes.
My voice is not the best today because with this shifting of temperature, I am kind of with some allergic reaction, so
Oh,
my voice is kind of on the nose, but I can read it. You know?
yes. Here, the letters are big enough. I mean, you can also, because you're on the board,
Yes,
yes, please.
yes. Okay, so chapter 1
Yes,
from Vine Ramp.
yes.
Counting, counting to 4. This is good, Eti. We just came one thing, but let's go. So, the tale of creation in the Bible faces many people with a number of problems. To illustrate our approach to the subject, I selected the first 2 chapters, and I shall for the present leave the standards of science and history out of consideration. Let us begin with merely noticing what is said in the book and try to discover in it some sort of systematic order. Such order may well indicate the presence of a leading thought and give it structural support. When reading the tale, we are struck at once by opposites forming a duality. Thus, at the very beginning, there are 2 extremes of heaven and earth. In each of the next 6 days in which creation is completed, according to the biblical story, we again meet with sets of opposites. The first day, there is that between light and darkness. The second day, the waters under the firmament are divided from the waters above the firmament. The third day, we first see the waters as opposed to dry land, and afterwards, on the same day, a division is made in primeval life, plant life, between the herb yielding seed and the tree yielding fruit. This principle is carried on in the fourth, fifth, and sixth days. In the fourth day, there is the great light for the day, and the lesser light for the night. The fifth day offers the contrast of the life of winged flow, full flying above the earth in the open firmament of heaven, and the moving creatures brought forth from the waters under the firmament. Finally, on the sixth day, there is first the contrast between the cattle and the wild beasts, after which another act of creation takes place. Yes, that of man, when duality is expressed in woman opposite to man. Confining ourselves to the first chapter of Genesis, even a casual perusal of the tale of creation establishes the impressions of that creation also means the formation of a polarity in each of its components. Through the creation of this polarity, another duality presents itself, at first rather indefinitely, but afterwards more distinctly, viz. that of the male and female sexes. With the plants, it must have been present already. With the beasts, on the fifth day, it becomes more apparent in the words, "Be fruitful and multiply." And in the case of man, duality is brought forward as a definite principle. This principle of duality clearly extends still further and penetrates more deeply in the tale of creation. To discover this fact, one has to arrange the material in a system which proceeds from the story itself. The first day, there is the light and the division of the light from the darkness. We observe that Taylor refers to light and darkness again on the fourth day, as the lights of sun, moon, and stars, whose function it is to divide light from darkness. The second day mentions the division of waters above and waters under the firmament. This division is not referred to again until the fifth day, when life is noticeable in the waters above the firmament and under the firmament. The third day, in contrast with the previous day, shows two creations mentioned emphatically and separately on the same day. The sixth day, in its turn, is likewise characterized by two different kinds of creation on that same day. To keep things as simple as possible, we can take the events of the initial part of the third day as the creation of condition of life on earth in general, whereas in the second half of that day, the first manifestation of life begins to take shape. The sixth day shows a parallelism in that the biological conditions for the existence of man on earth and created during the first part of the day, after which man makes his appearance as a live creature during the second part. So there is an undeniable correspondence between the first and the fourth day, the second and the fifth, the third and the sixth. And the fourth, fifth, and sixth days represent a certain development, a concretization and elaboration of the phenomena of the first, second, and third days respectively. Indeed, there are two groups of 3 days corresponding as described above, the first triad and the second. For the sake of clarity, let us arrange this correspondence systematically.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Here, unlike Weinreb, who made his sketches from left to right, I am used to think in the systematism of the spheres. So we have here a triangle, or first upper here, day 1, 2, and 3 make one structure, and day 4, 5, and 6 make another one. When there is a parallel thinking, in day 1 we have light, or light and darkness, Roger. And in day 4 we have the manifestation of light and darkness by creating, in a way, not the Bible does not use the word sun, but we have the great illuminator and the little illuminator, the moon and the stars. So in a way, day 4 corresponds with day 1, when day 5 corresponds to day 2, and day 3 corresponds with the 6th day, when the 3rd day and the 6th day are staying in the middle of the tree. This is why they have a double aspect. Both the 3rd day and both the 6th day, they have the double aspect because they hold the middle line in the tree of life. So far, so good?
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, Rodrigo.
Yes. Yeah.
Good morning, Eniola. And I hope that Sunshine could join us because she's trying to log here to the room. So I hope you'll find it, Sunshine, and we could hear you. Felipe, good morning. Now I would like to ask you a question regarding a painting. Italian painter, 19th century, North Italy. Please try in your own words, and those who are listening on YouTube, try to describe in writing what is the impression that you have from this painting. Try to describe what comes to you in terms of colors, themes, relations between light, shade, darkness, storytelling. And I have a few more questions, but let's start with it. Like to describe what do we see here in the painting? Do you have microphones? Are your microphones open? Can you speak?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Now, yes, I lost you for a moment, but now, yes.
Okay. I hope the picture comes, I mean the painting comes in full.
Yes,
Yes,
it
yes,
is
it
clear.
is. Yes. So what do we see here?
It is like a street, I think, with some people gathering on the shade,
Mm-hmm.
like two men and a woman,
Yes.
and we can see behind the scene the sun enlightening the houses,
Mm-hmm.
and we can see some nature. It is quite bright. It seems a quite bright day, but the people are in the shade.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the time of the day? In terms of what is the impression that you get from the part of the day which is represented, the artist try to
The
present?
afternoon or the sunset, I don't know, look like to me the sunset or the afternoon. I don't know if you're right.
The evening.
Evening, sunset. Why? Try to, yes, this is true, but why? Now the question is why? This is the impression.
Long
Long
shadows.
long shadows. Where do you are you cannot log into class. 1 second. What do you see as long shadows, Eniola?
I see the shadow that is proceeding from the building on the left. It extends on the floor behind the man, the central figure, to the right. As a cinematographer, only when the sun is very low in the sky, that is either morning, dawn, or sunset, do you have shadows at that angle. So it's either morning or evening.
Okay. So now it changes. Either morning now you say or evening. It might be this or
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yes. Can you describe anyone who wishes to describe, also those who participate here, I see. Shalom, shalom. Can you describe the color of the sky between the buildings, between the balcony and the roof? Can you describe the color?
The color
It
looks
seems
purplish to me.
purple.
Yeah.
Purple. Purple like
Yes.
very good purple. Purple like what kind of a fruit or a flower? Try to describe the color using words from nature. Plants, trees,
Violet.
animals, seashells. Try to okay, try 1 second. Take 1 second. 1 second in the mind. Purple, violet. Try to use words.
Lavender as well.
Lavender, very good, lavender. What else? Try to use other. Yes, again. I didn't hear. What else in nature has purple color? Lavender, you said. Again?
Grape or vineyard. Grape or
Grape
wine?
or vine?
Ah,
Very good, very good. What else? What else?
nice.
Like, I didn't hear. How do you see the color of uh, not palma, but plum? Plum. How would you describe the color of plum? What color do they have? Eggplant?
Oh, it is a kind of purple but with black, you know, it is a mixture, I would say, I don't know.
Yes, yes, this is
It
good.
is, it is closer, it is, I don't know, it is, I cannot, I would say that is darker, you know.
It is darker. It is darker. Why do I ask those questions? Because yesterday I read, while looking for the painting, there was a man in Italy. He was a painter, he was a sculptor, he used to make pottery, and he had 3 sons. And they used to work in his workshop, and he used to train them in art. And he used to send them every morning to sit in nature and to translate the experience that they have in nature in their paintings. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is to use words from the world of nature to describe a painting. Because also when we want to describe a friend, a story or event or a moment that we experienced, if we use parallel words or symbolic flowers, vegetables, scenes from nature to describe experience or story, we enlarge our scope of thinking. Is that understood?
Yes, it's an old technique. In ancient Egypt, their language was based on that, on using timeless natural symbols so that concepts could be understood across time. If you use the natural language from nature, then another culture coming later can understand.
Now, what this painting has to do with the text from Weinreb? What is the relation between the two, the text and the painting?
The feeling that I get, Fernando, you go.
You, please, please.
Okay, Fernando. Looking, I've made a decision between sunset and sunrise that I prefer sunrise as fitting better. I imagine the sun as rising from the east of the painting, and that sky is the sky of dawn. The windows in the building to the left, there is a single window above, and then there are 2 windows below in the shade. And it reminds me of the first word, Bereshit, that beginning, the movement from 1 to 2. This 2 or creation or dawn, this is what it reminds me of.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Fernando?
I just connected up the duality, the light, darkness, shadow be in between, but it is we can very bright of the sun heat the walls in a very way, and the people in the like in the dark. Boy, we can see opposite.
Yes, yes,
But
Fernando?
don't know. Just that the opposition the light and darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for me, I also see the middle pillar. That is to say, the central column. We have both light and shadow. And then I think of the sky above as like a precondition. And then we have the vegetation. And then we have the humans. And we have the man alone in the middle. And then we have the male and the female separated. So that 1 to 2, again, it reminds me of the structure of the story of Genesis.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Eti,
Yes, yes.
if I may share one thing, just one. Uh, I was reading a book from Von Franz about synchronicity, and she speaks that the, let's say, the great numbers are reserved to God. In all cultures, it was reserved to God. Like many cultures from ancient cultures doesn't have like numbers like 1,000 or so. They count to 4, or some people in Australia only could count to the number 2, and they count 1 2 1 2, and after a while they say many. It is
Mm-hmm.
many
Yes.
because a man cannot count.
Mm-hmm.
A man cannot count. It's for God count.
Yes.
And nowadays we have a statistic and the logic of the great numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So von Franz speaks that the man was thinking that he was God only because he could solve some mathematical problems, because
Mm-hmm.
this originally was reserved to God. This is why in the Bible also we can read that the people do not count. It is not good to count, because the count is reserved to God, right?
True.
But it is quite interesting to see that the tale of creation counts till 10, only till 10. It is the limit. And because why is in the Bible only to 10? It could take a million of facts, and millions of facts to make this relate to the tale of creation. But in the Torah, you need to count till 10. That is I think that is a limit to our consciousness. It is a limit to our to to what we can grasp, let's say, and what lies beyond it is mystery, let's say. Uh, but it was nice to me when I read the title "Count to 4," because I was just reading yesterday that the great numbers are reserved to God. So we count only these, and after this is the count of many. We only say that is other thing, but just to share these little coincidence that happen.
Thank you so much for sharing the story. There is a verse from Psalms in which David speaks to God and he says, Ataya data, you knew. Orchi is my way, and Riv'i. What Riv'i is like, let's say, 25%, quarter. What is it? Quarter is from like 4. You know, my way is the 1, and my quarter is the 4, and this is it. There's no more than this. This is interesting because David expressed it in Psalms. Sunshine is writing here on Discord. I see the shadows from the people seem to be reflected refracted from the top building on the right reminds me of the lesser light. Thank you, sunshine.
Mm. And also that the source of light is not visible directly, only through its reflection on the building.
True. The two buildings on the left and on the right, they seem like a canyon, and the man standing is like at the bottom of the river, and the river is the way, and he's standing there at the bottom of the river. Like there is a break, like duality, like split in the canyon, and the canyon is basically, yeah. Would you like to ask something, to say something?
Eti,
Yes.
regarding this topic, I just remember, I don't know if it makes sense, it's not, how can I say, it's a parallel thinking, because you mentioned David and the 1 to 4, and this is a key that Vaya bring to us. It's in the Bible, this 1 to 4, in the name of Adam, for example. And I just noticed that this root 1 to 4 that we see in the name Adam, if we wrote Adam in the Atbash, we get the how can I say, the reversal path, because the Aleph became a Tav, and the Dalet became a Kuf, which is 100, and the man became a Yud. So we have the 400, the maximum development, goes to the unity, goes to the Kuf, and then to the Yud. And in Adam, we get the 1, go to the material, go to the man, go to the manifestation. In Adam, we get the 1 goes to the manifestation. And his name in the Atbash, we get the manifestation, the maximum develop, returning to the unity. Just to mention it came to my mind.
So you say Adam in Adam in Adbash. How do you? I would
It's
like
Tav, right?
Tav.
Kuf,
Yeah.
Kuf,
Yeah.
right? And Yud, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in Adam, we get the 1, the Aleph goes to the material, to the man. And in the Atbash, we get the maximum development, the Tav, returning to the unity, returning to the Yud.
So it's like 400.
We can form the
100 and then the 10.
Yes, that's true.
4 to 1, we get the same key, 1 to 4, in come back. How can I say come back? The 4, come back to the 1. I don't know if means something, but came to my mind, and I wondered.
Thank you.
It is nice because we can form the root of the word. We can, I don't know if I am right, Eti, but with these 3 letters we can form the word, the root of the word tikkun.
Excellent. Tik, tikkun. Very good, very good. Tik is a bag. Tik is a bag, and bag is a vessel. So we just need like to be a good vessel for the light. This is the tikkun. This is the correction. Very good. This is what Luria says, by the way, Fernando. This is it. I would like to bring like 2 verses here from Psalms 139, how David, I mean in English it comes differently. They explain it a bit differently, but the verses is from Psalms 139. Yeah. You see the text. Let's move it. Who would like to read the text? Do you see the text, by the way? Reflected?
Yes.
Oh,
Can
there it is. I can see it now.
yes. So who can read it, please?
I can read it.
Thank
Yes. Verse 2.
you. Yes.
Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Verse 3. Thou measurest my going about and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I would like to ask you, when David says, you know, thou, this is ancient English, but like modern English, Ataya Data. David speaks to God, Ataya Data. You know my down sitting. To whom does he turn? Who is you?
The Lord,
But where is the Lord? Where? This
For
dialogue.
me,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, please.
I was going to say that for me it is the witnessing presence inside of a human being that witnesses all their thoughts and all their actions.
True. So there is, yes, Venus. Yes, there is one who is present in us, and there is, like, first person, there is me when people speak, which is I, and there is another one, which is you, and you is second person present. This is the presence inside of us. And who is he or she inside of us? If you is the presence in each and every one of us, not another body or another friend. You is the presence. Who is he or she inside of us?
Hello,
Yes, hello. We
hello.
can. Yes, yes, Felipe.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Yeah. I was just happy to see the topics today, and interestingly, I was also reading chapter 1 and 2 of Bereshit, and also remembering the first chapter of Pine Roots of Bible. Uh, so it's quite a astonishing coincidence. And and one verse it's in chapter 2 we have discussed some days ago with Rodrigo and Fernando. It was when the Lord God, uh, I haven't put the text right in my front, but it's about the breath of life in the nostrils of Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And the word, if I'm not wrong, is nishmat, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nishmat, I mean. And I was just curious about this word because it looks like neshama,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking of asking about it, and it seems that David is in a way is talking with his neshama, his inner soul within, who we hardly are as intimate as David is. So answering what I think David is talking, I love this question about Nishmot as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you, Felipe. The the he or she inside of us is referring to the hidden source inside of each and every one of us. There is no just he and she outside of us. Let's say the man is walking down the street. There's a body, there's a man walking. This is like for external body, we say he is walking down the street. But when we say the word he or she inside of one person, it refers to the hidden aspect. He or she is referring to the hidden aspect in us. And since Nishmat Chaim, the breath of life, comes from Neshama, and Neshama is hidden as well. This is Bina. This is hidden. Usually, when we say he inside of one person, it refers to crown, which is hidden. Keter is always hidden. She is Bina, third person, Bina. So everything comes together. If we have a conversation inside of ourselves and the conversation or the dialogue goes like this, you know, or you see where I am, or so, a person speaks to the presence, to the spirit, to Tiferet, in terms of sphere speaking, if I express it via spheres. So there is a conversation, and you is referring to Tiferet, the spirit. But when we have even deeper conversation with the unknown, with a he or she, it's in the realm of the upper three spheres, from Keter to Bina to Chokhmah. Do we understand this mode?
Yes, Terry. It reminds me of the painting. In the painting, what I would align with Keter is not visible.
Mm-hmm.
We see one, maybe if we treat the building in the back like its face, the revealed face.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the right side, there seem to be two tall archways in shadow that reminds me of a yod like Chokmah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the three windows on the left side as the third person reminds me of Binah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, yeah. Like Felipe, I was also before class reading Bereshit from Farah Fenton's translation. And he, interestingly enough, interprets into English Bereshit as by headships, from Rishi for headships. So I get the idea of separate persons. In other words, by these, let's say, heads of consciousness or sources of, let's say, the persons, is creation effected.
True. True. Thank you. Now I would like to ask you a little question. Does it happen to you that when you write a letter or a poem or a text, and in the process of writing, while trying to express an idea, emotion, a notion, words are coming to you, and a stream like river that express or expose itself to you while writing? Does it happen to you when you start to write something or to play something? A stream comes from somewhere to the page if you're writing, or to the guitar, or to the flute. Can you recall if something like this is happening?
Yes, I've experienced that many times.
Thank you.
Could you please
Yes.
expand this? Because I am thinking about this stream.
Mhm.
Could you describe it? I don't know.
Yes, yes. Person sits with himself, and let's say a word comes into his mind. So most of the people, words are coming to their mind, and they continue to do what they do. So, but if a word comes to you today, I was reminded of a Hebrew word called, just an example, yes, called shadma. Shadma. I will write it down. I was doing something else. I was in the supermarket and I hear the word shadma. In Hebrew, it holds also the letters of Sadeh, which is a field, in the first glance. But I hear the word. I'm not sure. I check it. I open the phone and I check while moving in the supermarket where this word, does it mean also a field as it comes to me? And I open the, how do you say, the dictionary while moving in the supermarket, and the dictionary also show where this word appear in the Bible. In the book of Habakkuk, you remember the prophet Habakkuk? the word appears in Habakkuk chapter 3, Perek Gimel. And in this verse also appears a description of nature in which the olive tree does not give his fruit. And on Friday I wrote a poem in which the olive does not give a fruit. This year, when you walk through the plantations of olive or through the olive grove, you notice there is a tree of olive and there are no olives on the tree. Also, every year, usually in July is the summer here, there's a stream of jellyfish coming from Suez Canal from Egypt. This is something nobody can swim because of the jellyfish. Interestingly, this year there are no olives on the olive tree and there are no jellyfish. In English we say jellyfish, in Hebrew we say medusa. So I wrote a poem that this year there are no olives in the olive trees and there are no medusot. Medusot is plural of medusa, but there are muzot. There are muse are coming. There is inspiration. So, since Fernando, you ask about the stream. A stream can hide behind a word, can hide behind a beat, can hide behind a water tap. Sometimes people do not close the tap and there's a drop, drop, drop. So this is a beat. Or sometimes it's a bird, and this is a beat. Sometimes a book is falling. Sometimes a door is closed or being shut. Sometimes it's the air condition. Sometimes somebody's drilling in a certain moment. So behind, or sometimes it's the angle of the sun. And there is a river behind or hiding behind those themes. And if you're interested, I can read this poem. And if you're interested.
Yes, please.
Yes, if you're interested. Because if you notice, this year is very different from the previous year we have experienced before. It has a message, and let's see what the message is. Because sometimes we don't know, but the he or she inside, they know better, and they just waiting for us to open the door for them, and they will come and bring their notions through our hands when we play the guitar, or through our fingers when we write the text. I'll try to, how shall I do it? I'll try to bring the text as one second. Okay. The name of the poem is En Zetim Bazait. Zait is the olive tree. Zeitim are olives. En Zetim Bazait. There are no olives in the olive tree. En Zetim Bazait. There are no olives in the olive trees. Ve'en meduzot hashana. There are no jellyfish this year. Hachom hu kaved. The heat is heavy. Vehasheina, and the sleeping. Tkufa chadasha, and the sleeping is a new period. So every time we go to sleep, it's a period. It's not like what we usually think, but I will open it later. Hasmicha. Smicha is blanket. Hasmicha hi shichmiya. Shichmiya is a cape. But please pay attention, in Hebrew, shichmiya, a cape, has the same letters as smicha, blanket. So, hasmicha, the blanket, is a cape. Hasmicha hi shichmiya, ba et hayarden tiglum. The blanket is a cape in which you will cape the Jordan. This is an image from Elijah. Elijah, how he was rolling his cape on the Jordan. So, please remember, we said that the sleeping is a new period. And the blanket is like a cape in which you can cape the Jordan. Because the Jordan, as we learn, is a border between the body and the soul. כאשר במתך ובצקלונך, while in your cane or in your rod and in your bag, תטייל בחלום. You will travel in your dream. המדוזות אינן. The jellyfish are gone. והמוזות ישנן. And the muse, those who gives inspiration, are here, exist. ורילקה, Rilke is a German author. וסטפן צוויג, ויוזף רוט גם. So, let's connect. המדוזות אינן, והמוזות ישנן. Jellyfish are gone, but the muse are here. ורילקה וסטפן ויוזף רוט גם. So the medusot are gone, but the muzot are here, and also great people with a great minds and writing to inspire us. Anog hu halayla. Pleasant is the night, or pleasant also the hours of darkness. וצעיר עד בלי די, and infinitely young. צרצרים מנגנים בו ברגש ודאי. Crickets are surely playing in him with feeling. כחול הוא הים, blue is the sea. וסגול הרקיע, and the firmament is purple. השקט, the silence, הוא חוף, the silence is a shore, הרוצה להגיע, which wants to arrive, להרגיע, to relax.
Beautiful, dear friend. Thank you so much for reading it.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
It is most beautiful.
What? Yes, Fernando, please speak.
No, it just came one symbolic image, because Medusot makes me remind obviously about Medusa.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And we can see Medusa, the image, with lots of snakes in her head, right? And
Yes.
The story of Medusa is quite interesting. In fact, it is quite complex. I will not enter in this right now, but it is a beautiful story, how she became like that. But one of the images that it can represent, one of the symbols that it represents is the thinking function, the rational function. You know, when we think too much, we are paralyzed. We can be paralyzed if if we think, I don't know it. If you think, maybe I should read one poem, but you start to think, if I don't want to bother, it's too personal. You could think a lot of things that do not make it,
Mm-hmm.
to not read it, to not expose one poem that is beautiful. And the Medusot are sleeping, are quiet. In other, we could read that, so the muses can sing, so
Yes.
the music can come, the Medusot could be related with judgment and the overthinking and I don't know, just came this, but it is beautiful. And thank you so much again for reading it for us.
You're welcome. Welcome. Because Fernando, you were asking to give you an example of a river. So the word came to me, she knocked at my head a few times, and I was looking at the source of the word. The word says Habakkuk chapter 3. I opened the verse and I see there is olive in the olives, but a beautiful expression of Habakkuk, how the olive is so thin that there's no fruit on it. Hazait kachash. Hazait kachash is like very, very thin and there's no fruit. But it's the same idea, and I was, but how? I wrote it on Friday before we started the conversation on Discord, and Andre came and says, Etty, you have to prepare for class. What are you doing? You're not here, he says. But I'm sitting. He says, Andre, notice whenever I write, he says, I'm not here. My body is typing. He says, but you're not here. Etty, come, drink, eat. Class is coming. You're not here, he was saying. And the moment he says you're not here, I type the last word, lehargia, to relax, meaning the silence is a shore that wants to arrive to relax. The silence is a shore. Like, he says, Etty, you're not here, you have to be in class. And I just type it and I left it and I came to class. And this is also why I encourage you to write, to paint, to sing, to play music, because in a way part of us is not here, meaning the body, but the spirit can ascend, go somewhere to the attic, let things slide, because there's not too much judgment, as well as Fernando says, what if I shall read for them? It's personal. You start judging yourself, and too much judging, nothing goes nowhere. So this is why I encourage you to do it. And I always sit and I don't know what is going to come and I don't know what to do. I just sit and word come and suddenly comes a stream and then I type it. I don't know where does it come from, but the words, they want to come. If we let them, or the music, or the colors. And in a way, all of us, humanity, are experiencing a very, very interesting year, which is much slower and in a way asks, not demand, but ask our attention to colors, to the way we go in life, not to the target where we want to arrive, like aim something and shoot your arrow far. It's something else this year. this year is asking to listen, to pay attention very, very thoroughly and profoundly about things. One word, one sound, one color. They speak. And the more we relax and notice that everything is already there, we can be open to creativity because we're not threatened. A person who is threatened, it doesn't matter if it's by a war situation, like something happens in the family, we cannot be creative. But once we understand that everything is there, we can open door to creativity, we can evidence this. Because creativity always wants us to be there. We just have to enable this friendship with trust. Another thing that I would like to relate, follow this idea that comes here, that usually in modern time, unfortunately, we relate to sleep as something mechanical, like to sleep to get rest, and that we should be a better workers when we wake up from sleep. But sleeping here is a period. It's not just a time that we spend in bed. It's a period. We can experience while sleeping different periods of our time being here on planet Earth. We can experience many lifetimes. We can be active in our dreams. This is another dimension that usually the shaman mentions in their teachings. I don't want to go into this, but this is what it refers to. Dreaming is not something passive. This is just a few bullet points that comes at the moment.
I feel the same, Eti, and it is good to listen to it. Thank you so much, really.
You're welcome. In a way, not to relate to the sleeping and what comes in during the sleep is not to live lifetimes of our lives. Yes, it's like to cancel lifetimes of ourselves. So to relate to the period, meaning the sleeping itself is something complete. Today, people are taking people to laboratories and they divide everything and says this is waves alpha, beta, gamma, theta, whatever. They have many, how to say, a specific language to describe the science of sleep. But sleep is something complete. It's a universe that we are, in Hebrew we say to rise to bed because we are rising to another dimension. And this is holy. And we can express ourselves being holistic there in this dimension. And from there to act from the sense of completion, of trust, of unity. This is just a few points.
Beautiful, Eti.
Thank you.
I'm on that stream as well. Thank you. It was quite inspiring to listen to you reading the poem and sharing this experience with us. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
Same here. It left me in a beautiful place. When you ended with the Hagia, it reminded me my Danish friend taught me the word Huga, which in Danish means a cozy, comfortable place, like a home where friends gather and where they rest. It reminded me of that feeling. And I saw the stream start to flow from Shatma, that is to say, Dhamma, that the imagination then started flowering
Yes.
and and the lifeblood, the dam started flowing. And and that reminded me of the heart. And my dear one wrote to me a single line this morning. Home is where the heart is. And that's where I was left. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I would like to wish you a beautiful season, beautiful life, and infinite creativity. And we shall meet whenever the Spirit will guide and I shall write to you. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you so much. And beautiful, wonderful life.
Thank you very much, Yachi. Shalom, shalom
Thank
to
you.
everyone.
Shalom,
Shalom,
shalom.
shalom,
Bye
Shalom,
bye.
dear
shalom.
friend.
Shalom, shalom.
Thank
Toda.
you, friends.
Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.